morning. Welcome back to another episode of 93 Days. It's October 14. It's the first morning sit of the year for me. In this episode, we'll check in with Tyler and Alex and see how they did up on some northern Michigan public land bucks. And then we'll swing over to Lance, see how his first week of hunting's turned out. Then to wrap it up, we'll come back to me, and I'll give a little overview on my Alaskan moose adventure. Kind of explain some of my plans going forward for the season here in Michigan.
Well, our northern Michigan public land trip is off to a really good start. Drove down a long tree trap to a pin that Grant gave us this morning, and the way the maps took us there was no road. We went a little bit too far, ended up finding some mud, and the truck is stuck. So trying to get it out right now, and if we can ever get it out, we're gonna spend the rest of the day doing a little bit of speed scouting and maybe find a spot for tonight.
Ready? Not good. No? Bingo. Let's hunt. Let's go. Let's get after them. They're moving.
Well, it's the evening of October 5th. It's another really hot evening, really windy. It's been kind of an interesting week. Opening night, there's a cold front coming in, so I thought the deer would be moving. I didn't see a single thing. And that following day, I hunted that scrape both morning and night. Saw a small buck and a few does, but that was it. I think I blew out a couple bucks on that scrape before daylight, though. They came in when I was getting my camera stuff set up in the tree. Morning of the 3rd, I had kind of an encounter with a big buck. I just caught a glimpse of him bedding down about 60 or 70 yards in front of me. So I came back out here that night thinking he'd get up and go to the cornfield. I hunted the pinch point where I thought he'd come through, but all I saw was a 6-point and a couple does. I was walking back to my truck and there's a hayfield where I park. That buck was standing out in that hayfield. So I picked the wrong stand that night. Slept in yesterday morning, just gonna give the woods a break. Came out here in the evening, in that sand where I thought he was gonna go by again to go into the hayfield. I didn't see a single deer. It's kind of frustrating, so I hunted a different property this morning. Just kind of get away from all this standing corn where I think a lot of these bucks are hiding in. It was a pretty good morning this morning. Saw 2 small bucks and 5 or 6 does. One of the bucks that I saw was around 10 o'clock this morning, still running around, so that was kind of cool to see. But I had a new buck show up last night, a nice 3-year-old 8-point. He showed up on my camera right about 12 yards from this tree stand at like 11:30. So maybe it's possible he walks by tonight or another buck. But I don't know, we'll see. It's been a pretty discouraging week so far, so hopefully my luck changes tonight. But if not, this will probably be my last hunt of the trip.
Well, back from the hunt, didn't actually see anything else, which kind of stinks. Checked out the camera and wasn't much going on. A couple little fork horns and some does, but that's about it. So next segment, I'm going to kind of narrate through some of the videos of my Alaskan moose hunt. We ended up leaving mid-September, heading up to Alaska, and went to this little tiny Eskimo village in the Yukon Delta. And we flew up there, and the first day actually we set up camp and we started to see a few moose. We saw one bull, one smaller bull, and a cow while setting up camp. So we knew, yeah, this is probably a pretty decent area. So we set up camp, and the next morning I went out, and I mean, it was downpouring, raining. It was nasty weather out, and it wasn't but 5 minutes, and I ended up hearing a sound like something walking, sounding like someone throwing bowling balls into these puddles. And it wasn't a matter of maybe 5-10 seconds, and this bull comes out and starts walking towards us. And I ended up taking it. It was a wonderful bull. It was a huge, a lot different than anything I'm used to seeing here in Michigan. And that bull, he ended up going 53 inches. So that was exciting. Got my bull over with pretty early in the trip. And then on to day 3, I'm out now hunting with my dad, and the other guy that came with us, a family friend of ours, he ends up taking a really nice bull too. And the weather still just isn't cooperating. It is just blowing rain sideways, and it's just terrible out. But we see a few more. End up getting all these back to camp, and all the meat hung up, which I mean is quite the endeavor itself. And on day 4, we wake up and head out, and now it's just my dad and I. I'm filming my dad. We're going out, and we make it maybe 100 yards from camp. It's probably more, about 100 yards from camp. And he sees right up on this ridge a real nice bull. And so we go up, and well, I mean, not too much of a ridge. It was more like a high spot in this marsh we're hunting. And we go out, and he ends up taking that bull, which is another beautiful bull. And we're packing that one out. And while we pack that one out, we have a big sled we're hauling the meat out on. And those guys go ahead. They're taking some meat back to camp, and I'm wondering where they're at. I'm like, oh man, they're taking forever. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they're making another meat pole or something. So I head on back, and while I'm walking back to camp too, to go check on them, I see probably about 30-40 yards to my left. I look over, and there's a black bear, and I'll being able to harvest that black bear. And that was, I mean, it was truly amazing. It's just a total different country up there, and just the sights and sounds of everything is just truly amazing. And then days 5, 6, and 7, those were all days we were just kind of doing meat care and working on getting all the meat back into the village and then flowing out from there. It's truly quite a remarkable trip and a trip of a lifetime, one that I'll never forget. But now I'm going to kind of transition on to deer season. What am I doing for deer season? This deer season, really don't have any clue what's going on. I'm just kind of hunting the same properties that I've historically hunted. May throw in some public land hunts and just go adventure on some new land. But for right now, I'm kind of just checking trail cameras and moving them around to areas I see more sign in. So recently I've kind of checked the cameras I've had out there for a month or two and moving them to other areas, seeing if I can pick up some other bucks in different areas. So that's kind of my plan going forward for the season. I'm just kind of doing some observation sits, seeing where things are, and trying not to get too deep into them that I'm bumping deer out and inhibiting their normal travel routes, and just kind of pulling it back and just seeing what's going on, where are they actually moving, and where do I think that maybe if one slips up that I'll have a chance at them. So that's my plan going forward, and we'll see how that pans out.